The original Yankee Stadium, the stadium Babe Ruth played in, lives in my basement. My father finally took me there, and we walked down one of these aisles here, and as soon as I saw the field and the grandstands, the scoreboard, I just fell in love with this place. Without bragging, I would say this is by far and away the most accurate model of this Yankee Stadium that's ever been built. Every significant detail is reproduced. I spent about 4 years on this project, probably between 3,000 and 4,000 hours. I figured if I'm going to spend my time doing this, it better be right, because there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to tell you what's not right. A little bit neurotic probably, but yeah, you have to be, I guess, to do something like this. I'm John Meeks, and we're in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Businessman by day, and when the business day is over, yes, I like to paint and I like to build projects. Got pretty good at drawing, and self-portrait in a bathroom mirror upstairs. Took up oil painting, mostly New Jersey scenes. I grew up in North Plainfield, New Jersey, which was about 45 minutes outside of Manhattan. I originally fell in love with this place because I had been watching Yankee games on a 19-inch black and white television, and my father finally bought tickets. It was the most cool thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was nothing like what I expected. It was 1,000 times more than what I had expected. And then I started looking at things and thinking, Babe Ruth looked at that same thing. Lou Gehrig stood there. Joe DiMaggio stood there. It was like, it just, at that point, I'd been a Yankees and a Mets fan. At that point, Yankees. In 2009, they're going to be tearing down Yankee Stadium. It's not going to exist in any form anymore. The house that Ruth built was going to be demolished, building a new stadium across the street, which was very nice, but it wasn't the ballpark where this history had happened, and I felt Yankee Stadium needed to be rebuilt in all its glory, and that's why I set out to make such a faithful reproduction, so I could give people an idea of what it was like to actually be in that stadium. Believe me, that place had a lot of atmosphere.
A swing, a hit, a homer.
It was just a wonderful place to see a game. The acoustics, the smells, everything. So the vast majority of this model is built out of styrene plastic. I found this company called Evergreen that made strip stock. They make sheets, and you can cut it into anything you want. And if you're creative and you have a decent eye, there's really no limit to what you can build with this. It's a great material for modeling. You can make it look like concrete, you can make it look like metal. It's great. I don't want to even say how many dollars worth of this stuff. Yeah, let's say I needed to place a couple of steps somewhere. You take the solvent, and it starts to dissolve the plastic, and then just let that set up, and in a couple of minutes, you won't get those two pieces apart. And it was just a matter of doing that over and over again, many thousands of times. And these are very large pieces compared to most of what I was working on. The scale of the model is 1/120th. A tenth of an inch equals a foot. And I made sure that every significant detail is reproduced properly and not try to cut corners. Oh, here it is. I don't know why I didn't see it. This is my architect scale. This is actually broken in half in pieces a couple times. I've had to repair it. It's been used so much. You can see how discolored it is. There's no 3D printing. There's no replication. It's all piece by piece. Now, I don't know how many pieces it is, but I'm guessing north of 500,000. I actually picked the date, June 24th, 1973, to depict the stadium because my best friend and I had gone in to see a doubleheader with the Detroit Tigers, and the Yankees won the first game, a really close game. And in the second game, it was 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth inning, and Greg Nettles, their third baseman, hit a home run into the lower stand back there and won the game, and everybody went crazy, and it was the high point of the season, so I figured I'll pick June 24th. I set out to make it exact, and I sweat every single detail on this ballpark. Everything is 100% precise to scale, and I represented everything reasonable that I could represent. Every single light tower is all configured exactly the way it was with exactly the right number of lights. All of these are completely accurate, and there's actually a difference between this one and these, and you would never see it, but I caught that difference. I put in, these are football broadcast booths here because the New York Giants played here. I managed to get all the ads exactly the way they were because diehard fans that had all kinds of photos, I needed everything to be as it was that day. All these signs are hand painted, drawn and hand painted in oil paint. All the flags, which I have obviously in motion with swirling winds. I'd draw a flag on one side of the piece of paper, I'd draw a flag on the other side of the piece of paper. I'd saturate it with glue, crinkle it up, and then have it dry in place. These electrical supply lines for the light towers, all exactly the way they were. Of course, the ticket booths, which a few of the ticket booths actually still survive. I think one's in the Hall of Fame, and another one turned up not too long ago. And of course, this looks a little scary. They had to put that up to hold the scoreboard up. Never did fall down, but again, the scoreboard, all hand painted the entire scoreboard. The official Longines clock out here on the main gate, I have it at 8:52 in the morning. There's nobody here yet. You know, I would love to make 60,000 people and put them in here, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. The most common number I saw for seating was 65,000. Well, I don't know exactly how many grandstand seats there were, but it's 40-something thousand grandstand seats and 20-something thousand bleacher seating.
So you hand painted all 60,000 seats one at a time?
Yeah. I hand painted all these seats one at a time because there was no other way to do it. And I might add, they've been hand painted blue a number of times because I wasn't happy with the color. I was able to come up with the proper color because these are pieces of the original stadium. Unfortunately, there's no rule book, there's no class you can take. It's trial and error, which means it's a lot of error. I have a drawer full of outtakes here. All of this decorative frieze that took me weeks to build the first time. After it had been hanging for a few months, I decided I didn't like it anymore. It all had to be redesigned, ripped out, and done all over again. That set me back about 10 weeks at least. All right, here's one of them. And of course it would be with glasses off because I'm nearsighted. Start out with a raw piece of plastic, and I'd build the rail first, the top rail, one at a time. Lining it back up again, absolutely perfectly within the thousandths of an inch. After punching out the bottom radius with a larger punch, I would start to glue these pieces down, and then from there I would set this up like this and cut the radius in. But there are multiple layers, and ultimately there's about 230 pieces. It took about 6 hours for each one of these sections. I spent about 4 years on this project. Weeknights after work was 3 to 4 hours. Of course, the weekends, I remember some Saturdays spending up to 14 hours. Kind of painful to really try and add it up properly because you think, oh my God. But I'm estimating probably between 3,000 and 4,000 hours. I had a motto when I was building this thing. It says, I'm going to find a way. There's always a way. And I got there. My wife and kids weren't crazy about all the time I spent on it, but they think it's really cool. And I'm sure they're as glad that I built it as I am. My Yankee Stadium model is the coolest thing I've ever made.